Just this week, a 22-year-old Oregon man was charged in the District of Alaska in connection with what's called a DDoS for hire botnet. And we're going to break this down for you. So in this case, this botnet, called RapperBot, is said to be responsible for a series of large-scale cyber attacks executed over the last several years. But this is just one example of a wide-reaching cyber attack that can cost consumers like you, at minimum, a lot of time and money. So I sat down with the Assistant U.S. Attorney, Adam Alexander, today for more on how to identify distributed denial of service attacks, how to help protect yourself, and what to do if you think you've been a victim of a similar crime. We're talking about distributed denial of service attacks, right? So can you explain what that is and why they're so dangerous?
Exactly right. So put very briefly, we all have an increasing number of internet-enabled devices in our homes. 10 or 15 years ago, maybe it was just your computer or a laptop. Nowadays, the average household can have dozens of internet-enabled devices. And the problem there is that there's sophisticated transnational criminal organizations that are constantly scanning the internet, trying to find these vulnerable devices to hijack them for a variety of criminal purposes. The one that we're here to talk about today are so-called DDoS attacks, and that's when a criminal group assembles a huge network or botnet of these compromised devices and then uses them to attack targets on the internet.
How do you see DDoS attacks appearing in Alaska?
So we see victims of DDoS in two ways here in Alaska and indeed across the country. We see victims in the sense of people whose home internet devices have been compromised by these criminals to become part of these botnets so that they can hijack their internet access, their bandwidth, to use in a variety of ways. What we're here today talking about are DDoS attacks, so using the collective bandwidth of a bunch of different victims to attack a particular target and knock them off the internet. We've seen both the victims of folks who've had their devices compromised here in Alaska. We've also seen businesses here in Alaska as well that have been the victims of what's called DDoS extortion. So a criminal group using the botnet to attack a business here in Alaska and say, unless you pay us a certain amount of money, a ransom, we're going to keep attacking you. And the consequences of those attacks can be really severe for these businesses. It can, in fact, and some of these victim businesses have been internet service providers. So it can not only affect the business and the business's profitability and viability, but it'll then deny access to the internet for all of their customers.
Is there anyone who isn't susceptible to this? I mean, even cars, right?
Exactly
Most have some sort of internet capability these days.
When you think about, or I think about the number of internet-enabled devices in our homes or that we use, 10 or 15 years ago, we might have a computer and a Wi-Fi router and maybe not much else. Nowadays, people could have dozens of internet-enabled devices in the home, and each one of those is potentially vulnerable and is, in fact, actively being sought to be exploited by criminal groups for the purposes of perpetuating a lot of different internet-based crimes.
All right. Well, Assistant U.S. Attorney Adam Alexander, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Now, a key part of this is what to do if you think you are experiencing or have experienced a DDoS attack. This is according to IC3, or the Internet Crime Complaint Center. You need to first and foremost contain the problem. So take the potentially infected hosts offline or unplug devices. Do that right away. Re-image compromised hosts. For example, format the hard drive. You should really get assistance with this if you have questions, because you could be losing a lot of data by wiping any drive. Reset or revoke compromised credentials. That means changing passwords, resetting compromised certificates, and the like. And file a complaint. Don't forget this. This is important. It's not an emergency line, but it does allow authorities to track cases, identify possible trends, and maybe you'll even help a fellow citizen avoid being a victim in the future. IC3.gov is a key government-supported resource for this. It does include detailed information and guidance and can be accessed via our website.